Welcome in, everybody. It's almost time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. Sports Hounds getting going in just a few seconds.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed! He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Sports Hounds exclusively on A2DRadio.com. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. We are the Sports Hounds with you for the next few hours right here on A2D Radio, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, and Instagram. Download us wherever you get your podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. If you miss anything, football in the past, we'll get in a little bit. Football offseason, NFL offseason, franchise tag window opens tomorrow. A little big week for your Giants. What are they going to do? Saquon, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers is on his little darkness retreat. Lamar Jackson questions. So a lot to unfold here in the NFL offseason.
Derek Carr, too. Don't forget
Derek
him.
Carr as well. Looks like the Jets, maybe, the Saints. I don't know. I don't think Derek Carr is that great, but if you think he's an upgrade for your team, a lot of bad quarterbacks out there. So he probably is an upgrade for
he's an upgrade
over
for
half the league.
Yeah, he's an upgrade for a lot of teams.
I know because you always bring up how he never has a good defense. And
no, I'd like to see him on the Jets. I think that would really I think he'd be really good there because the Jets have a really good defense. And he's a competent. He's competent. He may not be a top 5 quarterback, but he's competent, and he can get the job done.
I guess. We'll talk NHL. Flyers winners today against the Calgary Flames. Little President's Day afternoon action. 4-3. Fly Guys win. Trade deadline coming up the NHL. Some teams already made moves. Some teams are gonna make moves. We'll talk about that. NBA, breaking news out of the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo injured in the All-Star game, Brad. That miserable slop of a basketball game has cost the NBA and the Milwaukee Bucks Giannis Antetokounmpo for an undisclosed amount of time with a sprained wrist.
Yeah, that's a bad injury for a basketball player.
Ugh.
Yeah.
He will return when the pain allows him to.
Yeah, it's that stupid game too. Oh God!
This is just like the tricks that the NBA plays on me for me to think that the Sixers are going to finally advance to an Eastern Conference Finals. Giannis is hurt. Brooklyn had a fire sale. They just blew out Cleveland right before the break. Boston's ridiculously good. So if this Giannis injury is anything significant, which it doesn't sound good, it should be the Sixers and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I'm not buying that the Sixers can get it done and get there even a little bit. Thank God Giannis got hurt in the All-Star game and not Joel Embiid. Because Joe was thinking about not playing.
Can't blame him.
I wouldn't have played if I were Joe. You don't want to be a starter? He ended up being a starter because I forget who got hurt and Joe got bumped up to be a starter. Said, the fans don't want me to be a starter. I'm sitting at home. See you later. I'll rest up for the back end stretch and try and win the Sixers and myself a championship. But he played, dropped 32 in the All-Star game. Joel.
Nice. Tatum had some game, from what I understand.
55, an All-Star game record.
Usually the coaches don't leave the guys in that long to score that many points.
Well, some guy like Luka, I don't even know who. Well, I tuned into the game at 7:30, 8 o'clock. They didn't even pick the teams yet. They picked the teams on the court right before the game, like the schoolyard, which, okay, kind of cool.
Yeah, whatever.
But it took forever. So they picked the reserves first because God forbid someone who's a starter gets the short end of the stick and gets picked last. They did that. Then they picked the starters. Then they had a concert, and then they played the game.
Oh my
So
God.
I saw they were doing a concert after the draft, and
It's as stupid as the NFL.
didn't
I'm glad.
wasn't
I'm
about
glad
it. It was
I
a
watched.
Post Malone concert.
I'm glad I watched the Devils last night. Although,
Good choice by you.
yeah, although the result wasn't exactly what I wanted, but
Maybe the NBA should do something like the NFL. I don't know. Do a 2-on-3 tournament, play dodgeball. I don't know what they should do.
yeah, I
That
don't know
All-Star
either.
game sucks.
Well, it's been that bad. It's been like that way for forever. I'll tell you what. At the NBA today on NBA TV, they had a nice game today. They had the Utah Jazz and the Bulls from 19. When was it? 19.
Was it 98?
98. Yeah, the finals. Utah won the game in overtime.
Really? Utah won.
Yeah, that was a game Utah won. That was a pretty cool game.
The heyday of the NBA.
Oh yeah, when Jordan, the Jordan didn't they wouldn't let Jordan get the last shot off. They made him pass it to Pippen for the 3-pointer to try to tie the game, and of course Pippen missed. But yeah, they couldn't get the ball into Jordan, so sometimes it happened that way.
But Brad, first up tonight, batting leadoff, so to speak. Major League Baseball pitchers and catchers are in spring, at least for the Phillies. I don't know what your Yankees are doing. I don't know what other teams are doing around the MLB. But pitchers and catchers are down there in Florida. They're all
there.
They're all there now.
Yep.
Well, spring training is underway. Baseball just around the corner, and we're gonna take a look at some stuff. Starting with the new rules. A lot of new rules in the MLB this year. We're gonna run down them. Let you know what's going on, what we think how we think they will affect Major League Baseball, the product, the excitement of the game, and we'll talk about some current events as well. So our poll question of the night. First off, we are sponsored here on Monday nights, Sports Hounds, by BOAGGIO'S Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs. Mention A2D, 10% off your in-store purchase. We're also brought to you by Creative Window Design Center, serving New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida. Fully licensed Hunter Douglas dealer. Contact Jeff at 609-226-0391 for a free consultation. Also brought to you by Alan Foy at eXp Realty, 302-682-8820. Looking for a change in career or brokerage, or looking to buy or sell a home, Alan Foy can help you out. There's the information right there. And as always, don't forget to hit that damn like and subscribe button. Poll question of the night right here. The new MLB rules will create more offense. Agree, disagree? Let us know what you think in the chat. Let us know who your squad is in the MLB. And we're going to get to pretty much everything MLB before we get into some of the other sports here. So, Brad, the new rules, no shift, pitch clocks, pickoffs are limited. I don't see how this doesn't create more offense.
Oh, it's definitely going to create more offense. I mean,
awesome.
I don't really like the pickoff thing. I think I like the little cat mouse game there. I do like the pitch clock though, because it's annoying to see these guys go in and out of the batter's box and play these stupid games. That drives me crazy. You sit there and you're like, pitch the ball. But as far as the game length and everything, how much time do they really think they're going to save? Maybe 10 minutes. So the game that's 3 hours and 20 minutes is now going to be 3 hours and 10 minutes. And that's about
honestly,
it.
Brad, I don't think any time's going to get saved. Some games are going to be shorter, some games are going to be longer. The dollar cost average across 162 game Major League season across 30 teams, I think it's going to stay about the same. Look, there's going to be more offense. There's going to be more hits. There's going to be more balls in play. There's no shift. So,
there'll be more. There should be more stolen bases with the bigger bases. You would think they'll probably try to do a little bit more hit and run, because because if they're going to try to steal more, it stands to reason that they'll do a little hit and run because there's no shift anymore.
Well, I think the pickoff rules will create more stolen bases. Look, the bases going from 15 inches to 18 inches. I think they did that more to protect players more than the stolen bases. But
yeah, but it's still gonna help. It's still gonna because you're still a little bit closer, and you got more room to try to slide and avoid the tag, that kind of thing. So I do think that there's a shot that you'll get more stolen bases. I mean, I kind of hope so. I think the stolen base is one of the most exciting plays in baseball. I'd like to see them bring it back.
I love the stolen bases. Remember those Royals teams back in the mid-2010s? They put pressure on the defense, actually.
How about Whitey Herzog's old Cardinal teams? I mean, they used to run all the time. They used to run everybody to death.
That's going back a little ways, but recently, the teams just don't do it anymore because of analytics and this strikeout or hit a home run mentality. Strikeout, walk, or hit a home run mentality. It's just dominated the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's you don't see guys getting on first base and saying, "Okay, I'm going to steal second and I'm going to go steal third." You don't have a lot of those some of the cocky base stealers. I mean, there used to be some base. I mean, I can remember when Alfonso Soriano was with the Yankees. I mean, when he got on first base when he was younger, he could really run. When he got on first base, he'd steal second, and you know what? When he got to second, he was trying to steal third, and he stole third quite a bit, and he never even considered not trying to get third. Same thing with Ricky Henderson. I mean, how many times did Ricky Henderson steal third? And, you get to third with one out. All you got to do is, a lot of times they're going to play the infield back, especially if the guy on third's fast and the ball's hit on the ground. You don't really want to bring your infield in early in the game and possibly give up a big inning. So I kind of like that, and I hope they do start stealing a little more.
And I also think the shift is going to eliminate. Well, it's going to be great for lefty power hitters. No shift. Rizzo, Harper, Schwarber, just to name a few from the teams we like to follow here on the Sports Hounds. Like
Stanton,
those averages should be up.
Yep. Stanton is another one.
So
my old friend Joey, Mr. Strikeout Gallo should at least now be able to hit 200.
He's not that great. The other guys I mentioned are actually
I know. I'm
good baseball players.
I'm joking about him, but you know what I mean, though.
He got $11 million from the Minnesota Twins.
The Twins will always be the Twins, Rob.
And then what? JD Martinez, I think, only got 10 from the Dodgers to be their DH.
Yeah. Well, I think JD Martinez is washed. I mean, he hasn't really done much the last couple of years.
I mean, JD Martinez might be a has-been, but, I mean, Joey Gallo is kind of a never was.
No, you're right about that.
Unless JD Martinez took less money to be. I mean, maybe he's from the West.
Maybe he's from the West. Maybe he's from the West Coast and he wanted to go home. I don't know. I mean, that I was a little surprised at.
Averages should be up though. There should be more station-to-station baseball in the MLB.
Yeah, they should be up for sure. And it'll be good to see a guy like Rizzo, especially. I mean, that shift was killing his average. I mean, it was unbelievable how it killed. Mark Teixeira used to be a 300 hitter until everybody started shifting on him. I mean, it does kind of screw up the game. So, but good. Let's go now.
Anthony Rizzo, he's a sleeper MVP candidate in the AL for me. I think he's really going to benefit from.
Oh yeah! Oh, absolutely.
From this shift.
I mean, do you know how many line drive one hoppers were hit into right field, and the second baseman threw him out? That the second baseman would end up throwing them out.
I can't imagine how frustrating that has to be for a guy like Anthony Rizzo.
Well, as a fan too, you see a guy hit the ball right on the nose, and you have a guy playing in the second baseman's playing in the outfield, and he doesn't run that well, so he can play pretty deep in the outfield. and still get the guy out, which is really horseshit. That's not the way the game's supposed to be played. And now you'll see ground balls that are hit up the middle, past the pitcher, that are going to be base hits again instead of being hit right to the shortstop.
And then I don't like this obsession that it's going to save like all this time.
No, it's not. Because
if you like baseball,
it's pretty quick anyway.
If you like baseball, you're going to watch baseball and you're going to be a fan of it. What, if you save 10 minutes on a game, that's supposed to reach like some new stratosphere of fans that are just going to love baseball now?
No. If you don't like baseball, you're not going to like baseball.
It's like NASCAR. I watched the Daytona 500 yesterday. Some people don't like NASCAR. And there's not a damn thing NASCAR can do about it. They can't change the rules. They can't have less cars in the field or have more cars in the field. Nothing they do is going to get people to like NASCAR. I like golf as well. Nothing.
No, I mean, listen.
Absolutely nothing golf can do to reach a new level. Either you like it or you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think golf is boring. And the same thing goes for tennis. I mean, tennis is fun to play, but I think it's boring to watch. But some people love watching it, so what the hell? But there's nothing they can do either.
So we're in agreement. The new MLB rules will create more offense.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Disagree. We'll get to some comments here.
There's going to be more runs scored. I don't like the fact that they're continuing the stupidity with the ghost runner in extra innings. I think that's awful. But you know what? It's here to stay.
Yes and no.
Until they get that idiot Manfred out of the commissioner's office, it's going to be here to stay.
It's like the shootout in hockey.
Well, that's really want.
But Brad, I mean, I don't like it, but I understand it. Like if it's Tuesday night and you're on a 6-7 game homestand, do you really want the Yankees or my Phillies to be playing some 15, 16, 17, 18 inning game? That's damn near impossible with the base runner.
Yeah, and you had a 16 inning game in the playoffs.
That's different. That's the playoffs.
I know. No, I'm just saying though. But you had that. So obviously, I mean that can happen. But you don't see too many games going more than 13. 13 is about the longest you see games with no base runner. So with the ghost runner, I just don't like it because you know what? I think it's a cheap way to win a game. You get up there and if somebody gets a leadoff single, the game's over. I mean, that drives me nuts.
Well, I mean, your team when they come to if you're the road team and you're first up, if it's Yankees versus Phillies and the Phillies are in Yankee Stadium, yeah, the Phillies get a runner on second, and if they get a single, that's going to be an extra run for the Phillies. But the Yankees are going to come up and they're going to have a run.
Well, it's not. No, that's the.
But
that's not really
too.
All I'm saying is, it gives a crappy team a better chance to beat a good team when there's a runner on second. Because it's sometimes not you never have. There's always a lot of 1, 2, 3 innings that just go bang, bang, bang. But there is a big advantage for the road team because the road team can go and they can bunt to move the runner over and then get him in.
I would do that all day long, especially if I were the road team.
Yeah, the other problem the other reason I hate it is as a Yankee fan, every time Aaron Judge is up in extra innings, he gets walked. Nobody ever pitches to him.
That's another way to play it as well, because then you create a force out everywhere.
Right, and whether there's no outs or 2 outs, nobody pitched to him, and I just find that extremely aggravating. The only time they would pitch to him is if the bases were loaded. Then they had to pitch to him. But that's crap. I mean, come on.
All right, in case people are behind, like I'm going to read off all the new rules and how Major League Baseball is going to enforce them and how they could potentially affect the game. There we go. The new MLB rules brought to you by Primo's Hoagies. There's the website, primoshoagies.com. all kinds of sandwiches, party trays, desserts, everything you would need for any type of event you're having. Visit primoshoagies.com.
Those subs are outstanding, by the way.
The Turkey Diablo,
Oh,
quite a
yeah,
treat.
yep. Oh, they're all
So
good.
this is laid out on ESPN.com. Let's give this man his due. Jesse Rogers, he's an ESPN staff writer. This is where I'm getting the information from. So the shift is out. So at the time the pitch is thrown, all 4 infielders are required to be on the infield dirt or the infield grass with 2 players on each side of second base.
So they're not allowed to go up the middle. They have to be on the side. I wonder how far over they have to be. There has to be like a limit.
Well, the base is the boundary. The base is the border. And
Okay.
I guess you could put 2 guys up the middle, like right up the middle, if you really think a guy's going to do that. But as long as they're on the dirt or the infield grass and there's 2 guys on the side of second base, you're good.
Yeah, I like the fact that they can't go on the outfield grass. That to me is ridiculous.
It's another good rule.
Yeah.
This is a good rule. The shift rule is a good rule. I'm
I
a big
agree.
fan of it.
I agree.
I would rather watch,
That's why guys are going for home runs all the time. Pull hitters go for home runs all the time because
it brings
they
more
can't-
athleticism. It brings more athleticism into the game as well.
Yeah, you forget you kind of lose track of who's a really good fielder and who's not a really good fielder because you don't have to have any range.
Correct.
Now you're going to see just how good a shortstop Trey Turner is. Now you're going to see just how good a second baseman Gleyber Torres is. Because now they actually have to cover some more ground. You'll see how much range some of these guys have.
Players will be able to move as soon as the ball leaves the pitcher's hand. So I guess if you can, I guess once the ball leaves the hand, I guess you could run around like a hit chicken with your head cut off and try and get into a shift position.
Oh, okay, I got you. So in other words, if they after the pitch is delivered, the infielders can move.
Once the ball leaves the pitcher's hand.
Right. So if they see it's a changeup, they'll be running over
But
to
the
full side.
These pitchers throw a million miles an hour. Like, I don't know.
I don't know how you can do that because
do
of
you
the
think
ball
a
gets
team's
hit
gonna be
behind
crazy
you.
enough to try something like that?
No. I don't see how you could pull it off. I mean, when you're a fielder, okay, you need to be on the balls of your feet and ready for the ball to come to you. You can't be running around and not be. And how do you pay attention when you're doing that?
It would be tough.
Yeah, so probably not.
Okay. How this will be enforced. The shift rules will be enforced. The hitting team reaches base and runners advance on a ball hit under the violation. The game proceeds without penalties. If the play has any other consequences, an out, a sacrifice, the hitting team can decide either to accept the penalty, which would add 1 ball to the hitter's count, or decline it, and the play would stand.
Got it.
So if you cheat,
it's going to cost you a ball or a strike.
So if you cheat and it's not a hit, it doesn't end up being a hit. Basically, the team's going to say, okay, that doesn't count. The hitting team's going to say, okay, that doesn't count. Our guy goes back to the batter's box, and 1 ball is added to the count. So you can't. There's no way that makes it almost impossible to circumvent the shift rule, because if you cheat, they're just going to get another chance to hit, and a ball is going to get added to the count.
Yeah, and it makes the pitcher behind in the count. You can't do that. I like that. That's a good rule. That'll keep them from doing that.
what they're trying to. So they're basically flat out saying, Major League Baseball flat out saying, we want more offense, so we're getting rid of the shift. Brad, try and guess what the league average was in 2022. League batting average was in 2022.
I'm just going to take
last season.
Okay, I'm just going to take a guess, like 247.
Pretty close, Brad. 243.
Wow, it's that low. That's really bad.
Nobody hit singles. A lack of singles in particular at the heart of the decline, with 22's rate 5.33 per team, the third lowest in MLB history. And they did most of these rules in the minors last year with success. So they're bringing them. Basically, every lower level than AAA already had these rules last year, and they worked out. They were happy with them, so they're bringing them to the big leagues.
I think that's a good move.
That's a great rule.
Yep.
Adding the shift is a great rule. It's going to make the game better.
I agree.
The second rule is the pitch clock. Pitchers will have 15 seconds to throw the pitch with the bases empty and 20 seconds with a runner on. Hitters will have to be in the box with 8 seconds on the pitch clock. So all that nonsense from hitters like Nomar Garcia-Parra back in the day, where they get out of the box, they fix their gloves, they fix their cleats, they fix their batting helmet, they wiggle the bat. That's no more. And pitchers like Livan Hernandez, who we talked about pre-show, Brad, are going to have to throw the baseball within 15 to 20 seconds of.
It would take him 15 to 20 seconds just to pick up the damn rosin and put it down. Yeah, if you guys watch baseball in the 90s and you remember him, he was unbelievably slow. Or the human rain delay, Mike Hargrove, that goes back into the 70s and 80s, but he used to come up and he would take a minute between pitches and drive everybody crazy.
Brad, you want to take a stab at how long the average game was last year?
3 hours and 12 minutes.
Pretty close again, 3 hours and 4 minutes, which I don't think that's an exuberant amount of time.
That's not that bad.
It was down 6 minutes from 2021, according to Jeff Rogers' article here.
So what's it going to be now? 2:55?
I think it's going to be right around 3 hours.
Yeah, it's still going to be 3 hours. So that's
all the stuff with the pitch clock is going to be counteracted with the increased offense that's going to be produced by the lack of shift.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if games were longer this year than 3 hours and 4 minutes on average.
Well, there's more offense.
Offense is going to take a lot of time. If you're getting 3-4 runs an inning, like the Phillies and the Yankees and some of these other low lineups are going to be able to do, potentially, especially now without the shift, like crooked numbers, as Charlie Manuel used to say, they take a while. So it wouldn't surprise me that if games were actually longer this season than last year. But it'll be more exciting 3 hours and 20 minutes, I guess, as opposed to last year. I don't know. I just don't get.
It'll be a little faster, but it's not going to be that big of a deal.
I don't get why people get so bent out of shape with how long baseball takes.
It's more the media complaining than anybody else.
Well, who
honestly.
cares about that? Most of them are fake news anyway.
I know. I'm just saying. I think it's more the media complaining than anybody else. I don't think that any real baseball fan is going to give a rat's behind about how long the game is.
Kickoffs. Now, this is the rule that I think is going to add to more stolen bases and bringing stolen bases back into Major League Baseball.
I'm hoping it does. Like to see some stolen bases. It's always fun to see that.
So basically, this article classify they're called disengagements. When the pitcher sets up the pitch and then he doesn't throw to home plate, it's called a disengagement. So anytime a player makes a pickoff attempt, fakes a pickoff, or simply steps off the rubber for any reason, as well as when the defense requests time, pitchers are allowed 2 disengagements per plate appearances without penalty. Disengagement rules reset if a runner reaches base or runners advance a base within the same plate appearance.
What about batters calling timeout?
No, that would not count.
No, but I mean, do they have any rules about that? Because batters do that all the time. I wonder about that.
Doesn't specify in this article whether that would be a disengagement or not. My guess would be no. But
the umpires don't have to grant it.
2 disengagements per plate appearance. So, and then it resets. Like if Trey Turner's on first and he's facing Luis Severino, and Luis Severino tries to pick him off twice, doesn't get him, and then Trey Turner steals second, he gets 2 more disengagements because Trey Turner took second. 2 is plenty. I mean,
yeah, I think so. I mean, let's not forget that a lot of times real base stealers, if they're going to steal on the first or second pitch. They don't usually wait till 3 or 4 or 5 pitches. Your dead on thief is going for it right away. The longer you wait to try to steal, the easier it is to get the guy.
Right. Now I think the big takeaway here, at least for me, is it's going to eliminate players stepping off the rubber and just staring the runner back.
Yeah, that's
if you're going to waste a disengagement, you might as well throw over and try and get him. Other than that, just speed up your delivery and get it to home plate and let your catcher do his thing. Because, Brad, the catcher, he can throw from behind home plate down to first base, second base, or third base after every pitch if he wants to, and that has no bearing on the pitcher disengagement.
You're probably going to see that a lot more. You could end up seeing that a lot more, which would slow the game
That always
down.
makes me nervous.
Oh, when the catcher
as
throws
a fan, yeah, because I'm scared he's going to wing it into left field or right field, and then you get
especially
all of a sudden there's a guy on third.
Yeah, or if there's a guy on third base and he's throwing the ball to third base, and
that's a run.
That's a run, yeah.
So if the pitcher messes up and he steps off a third time or throws over a first time, the pitcher will be charged with a balk. Not a ball, a balk. So everyone would advance a base.
That's a pretty
that's a steep penalty.
Yeah.
So they really don't like pickoffs. They're really trying to get that nonsense out to speed up their game and make their product better. And obviously this rule is what I just said. They're trying to increase activity on the base pass as it's worded here on the article.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
if you're sitting there for 3.5 hours, but there's action almost every inning. Like when you go to a game, you hope to see a run an inning. Right?
Yeah.
That's fair, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
or at least
get 9-10 total runs, 5-4 game, 5-3 game.
Yeah, it's always fun to see that.
Stolen bases were teamed to down half per game. It's really not down that much. So in 2022, it was 0.51 stolen bases per team. Stolen bases per team down to 0.51 per game. So it's half a stolen base per game.
So there's a stolen base once every 2 games for the average team.
It was 0.66 a decade ago. 80s and 90s, it was 0.75. I guess that's kind of a lot.
There were more guys that were trying to steal bases. Analytics kind of stopped that.
Analytics suck.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think stolen bases have their place in baseball, and I just hope I hope that you see some teams work on trying to get stolen bases, because stolen bases can really change a game.
It's about pressure on defense. Pressure on defenses.
Yep, and the pitcher. It's pressure on the pitcher to throw strikes.
We touched on bigger bases. The size of bases will increase from 15 inches to 18 inches. Reduce injuries. They hope this is going to reduce injury and increase stolen base attempts. I think
it'll help reduce. I think it'll help. I think it'll help reduce injuries. I don't think that in itself is going to reduce stolen base attempts.
I agree with you.
I think that the shift without the shift now, there's going to be a chance to have a lot more stolen bases. And you may see a lot more hit and runs, because if you had a right-handed batter and there were three guys on the left-hand side, and the first baseman, okay, basically it's almost impossible to try to steal the base, okay, because who's going to cover second, and that guy standing right behind second base, and it's going to be almost impossible to do it. Now that the guys have to play honest, okay, you don't know. There is always a question of who's going to cover second base, and mistakes can be made, and it's a more competitive effort, and you'll see a lot more guys. Really, I think the biggest stolen base guy in the Yankees last year may have been Judge. I think he had maybe 15 stolen bases last year, and I don't think he ever got caught, because when he would steal, nobody was expecting it.
Right, I think the Phillies were 4th in the NL in steals last year. I don't have it in front of me, but all their good players had 10 stolen bases, and it added up.
Yeah.
And then position players pitching, they don't want position players pitching. It's a joke. It's not why. That's not what people pay to see when they go to the ball. When nobody wants to see Edmundo Sosa pitch an inning of baseball. So
nobody wants to see Jose Canseco pitching.
So basically, you got to be up or down by a lot to be allowed to use a position player.
Yeah, I think it has to be an 8. It has to be 8.
The leading team would have to be up by 10 runs. The trailing team would have to be down by 8 or more in order to pitch a position player.
Yeah.
So, obviously they don't want people getting hurt and whatnot. So that's basically.
That also increases. That makes the game longer, because when you put a position player in, there's usually going to be 2 or 3 runs being scored.
So those are the new rules. Let us know what you think about them in the chat. Let's get to some comments here. Comments brought to you by FanUp. FanUp's the best way to enjoy daily fantasy sports. Where is it? There it is right there. Daily, NFL, more, NBA, anything you could want. It's on FanUp. Sign up today. Use the promo code A2D. 5,000 free bonus points, $50 value. Search FanUp in the Apple application store. Chat. Brian Daly's in the house. Don19's in the house. Dynasty 215. I think we get a 400 hitter in the next 5 years without the shift. No one's ever going to hit 406.
No
one. It's an unbreakable record. It's a silly average over 162 games. What was it? 1994. Tony Gwynn almost did it, but
George Brett almost did it. George Brett almost did it in 1980. He hit 390, I think.
That's crazy. And Ted Williams hit 406.
Yeah, Ted Williams and that's not going to happen again.
Well, who do you think's most likely to hit 400 in a season of all the players.
Oh, that are playing now?
Yeah.
Wow, it'd have to be somebody that's fast. It's not going to be a power hitter. It would have to be somebody fast. I mean, maybe a guy like Trey Turner, possibly. Although I don't think that he would do that, but somebody like him, I could see somebody like him maybe doing it. Maybe a guy like LeMahieu.
I'm trying to go through the teams.
Yeah, there's how many guys even hit 300 last year?
I don't know. I think the AL batting champ was Araz.
Yeah, and I
from
think
the Twins who got traded to Miami.
Yeah, he hit 316. And I think
316.
I think Judge hit 311.
I can't even think of who did it. Was it Goldschmidt in the
Goldschmidt
NL?
won in the NL. I don't recall what his average was. Goldschmidt won the batting title of the NL, I think.
Well, like neither of those guys. I don't think they can do. Let me do this. Active leaders in batting average.
I mean, Bogarts was a pretty good hitter. He would be one of my choices of a guy who could, because he hits to all fields. LeMahieu, he hits to all fields. But I mean, there's a big difference between hitting 320 or 330 and hitting 400. That's a lot of. I mean, hitting 200, you have to get 2 hits a game in order to do that.
So Mike Trout, he's obviously a pretty good player.
Yeah, but I don't think he's ever. What's his highest average ever? 350.
His career is 302.
Okay, and what's the highest average?
His highest ever is 330.
Okay, so that's
his highest average. That's only 36. That's only 36 games though. 159. So 323 in 2013 in 157 games.
Yeah, you don't see guys that hit 350.
That's like nowhere close. That's nowhere close to 400.
Yeah, you don't see guys hitting 350, 360 anymore. There's always one or two. In each league, it seemed like. Back in the day, it was Rod Carew, and then it was Tony Gwynn and Wade Boggs. They were always hitting 350, 360. Tony Gwynn could have been the only really could have probably done it. If he played in a little bit. But
these guys hit 400 or close to it because they put the ball in play.
Yeah, well, I think Tony Gwynn had more hits than strikeouts. Way more hits than strikeouts every season.
Trey Turner, who's now on the Phillies, he has a 302 career batting average. Let's see what the highest he ever hit was. So these are two of the best active pure hitters we're highlighting here.
Or Altuve, maybe. I'll check on Altuve.
Trey Turner hit 342. That's only in 73 games, though.
Oh, that doesn't count.
So his highest is 328, which is an excellent average in 148 games in 2021 with the Nationals. So the year before he got traded, he hit 328, 302 career average. So no.
Jose Altuve.
They're highlighting two.
Jose Altuve, Rob, from 2014 to 2018, probably cheated all this time too, but we'll leave that for an argument another time. 341 in 14, 313 and 15, 338 and 16, 346 and 17, and 316 and 18. So I mean that's those are the
nowhere close.
Yeah, not even remotely close. Yeah, now I want to just look up George Brett real quick. That in that 1 year that he almost hit 400, because he was hitting 400 at the beginning of September and then he faded. George Brett stats. Okay. All right. Okay, George Brett in 19. I want to say it was 1980, but I'm gonna have to check that. Okay, he had, and this is an all-time great hitter. In 1980, George Brett hit 390. Okay, he had 24 homers, 118 RBIs. He had 175 hits, and let's see, 449 at bats. How many walks? 58 walks.
Can't be that many walks. 58.
Yeah, 58 isn't that many, but he obviously qualified for the batting title, so he did that. But I mean,
so basically, if you go 0 for 3 one night, you're not hitting 400. That's how hard it is. I mean, I know that it's a dollar cost average sport, baseball. So like, you could go 5 for 5 in a doubleheader and fix an 0 for 3 real quick. But relatively speaking, if you have 2 bad games in a row, you can't hit 400.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Nobody's gonna
it's
hit.
Ridiculous.
Nobody's gonna.
It's like 56 game. We did this years ago. Unbreakable records.
Yeah, 56 game hitting streak.
56 game hitting streak will never be touched.
I always said that the most unbreakable record was Johnny Vandermeer's two no hitters in a row. That to me is the most unbreakable record. Nobody's going to throw 3 no hitters.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All these baseball records, like no one's playing. What did Cal Ripken Jr. play a million games in a row?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
These guys go on the IL for a broken fingernail.
Yeah.
So Dynasty 215, no one's ever hitting 400 again.
No.
I mean, we might see some like RBI records maybe get broken. Maybe.
You think somebody's going to get 190 RBIs? Wasn't that Hack Wilson that got that?
I think it was Hack. It was Hack Wilson or Hank Greenberg.
I think it was Hack Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more realistic than a 400 hitter.
Yeah,
56 game hitting streak.
I agree. But to show you how hard that is, Don Mattingly, when he had Ricky Henderson leading off, and Don Mattingly was batting second in 1985, I think he won the batting title that year, but he only hit 340 or something like that, 345 maybe. I think the biggest year he ever had was 350.
350. He only hit 350.
Well,
it's an unbelievable average.
No, but you know what I mean. I mean, some of these guys that really were great, they didn't do. Rod Carew, who was the best hitter I ever saw. So I didn't see a lot of Tony Gwynn because he played in the National League. But you know, Rod Carew was probably the best hitter I ever saw. He was almost impossible to get out. You know, and since some of our other guys like Vlad Guerrero, he was almost impossible to get out because he swung at pitches that were at his ankles and would get base hits off of them.
So yeah, Hack Wilson, 150, 191.
Oh, it was 191? I was wrong. My apology.
191 in 1930.
Okay.
Hank Greenberg's third. He had 184. And then your boy Lou Gehrig, he's in second place.
What did he get?
185 RBI in one season.
Didn't hurt to hit behind Babe Ruth, did it? They would walk Babe Ruth, and then Lou Gehrig would come up with guys on base. And with that
Hack Wilson in 1930, he had 56 home runs, 191 RBIs, 356 batting average, .454 on base percentage, and he only struck out 84 times. Lou Gehrig in 1930, 46 homers. What is 185 RBI? He struck out 56 times.
Yeah, well, that's
341 average.
That's what it
craziness.
Yeah. It's. I mean, Rogers Hornsby, I think, hit 400, right? He may have hit 400 a couple of times.
I moved on.
Ty Cobb probably did.
Basically, modern day.
Ted Williams is the most modern day guy. The closest in the last 60 years, I think, was Brett when he hit. Are
you talking about average or RBI? I'm on the RBI list.
Oh, you're on. Oh, okay. RBIs. I mean, the most any Yankee I ever saw was Mattingly when you had, as I said, and I think it was 1985. He had 145 RBIs, I believe. He had 35 home runs and 145 RBIs. And Ricky Henderson, I think, stole like 80 bases that year or something like that.
So Manny in 99 had 165 for the Indians. And then Slammin' Sammy. And, of course, 1998, he had $160.
How about Albert Bell? I bet he was
not on this list.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
50 home runs and 50 doubles, though.
So what? Looks like there's about 25, 30 names. So like the top 25, 30 guys are on this list. I love baseball stats. I could geek out on baseball stats all night.
Well,
Hank Rieberg's on the list.
And the thing is, guys, we both Rob and I kind of know these off the top of our heads, which is pretty bad when you think about it.
A lot of Yankees on this list, Brad. Gehrig, Green. No, Hank Rieberg was Tigers. My bad. Babe Ruth, Joe, Gehrig again, Babe Ruth again. Sosa's actually 98. Actually, wasn't even Sosa's best year from an RBI standpoint.
Really?
In 01, he had even more. '01, he had 60. 98, when he hit all those home runs, the home run chase, he only had 159. He only hit 64 home runs in 2001, as opposed to 66 in 98. Only 64 that year. What did he bat? What was his batting average?
Sosa?
So he had 308 in 98 and 328 in 2001. That's ridiculous. I don't care if he was on steroids or not. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Manny, he was obviously juicing the whole time.
Yeah, you think?
But I don't even care. Manny hit 333, so he got to hit one out of every 3 times. He hit 44 home runs. And obviously had whatever I said, 165 RBIs. What did I say? 65 RBIs, yeah. That's crazy. I don't care if they were on steroids or not. Ryan Swoop's in the house. Don 19. He's ready for another Tiger season.
Good luck with that, Don.
I wouldn't hold my breath on that one, Don.
Yeah,
I thought maybe the Tigers were going to be a surprise team last year, but they stunk again. And I think they're going to stink this year. I mean, they're in the worst division. So maybe they could be a surprise, but I think the Royals might be a surprise in the Central.
Are you banking on what's his name? Chapman helping him out?
I forgot about that. No, I'm counting on their young core that I kind of like to take the next step.
Gotcha.
Bubik, Brady Singer, Pasquitiani.
Here's one I wanted to look up. Okay, Mickey Mantle in 1955
Yeah.
when he won the Triple Crown.
Triple Crown year, yeah.
Yeah, his Triple Crown year. Where is it? Okay. He had 52 home runs, 130 RBIs, okay, and hit 353. The year after that, he hit 365 with 34 home runs and 34 home runs, 94 RBIs, and hit 365.
The Mick was great.
365.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and he struck out 99 times that year too. If he didn't strike
That's like,
out so much, he could have hit 400.
If you take inflation into account, that struck out 99 times in 1955, 56, whatever you said it was.
Yeah, 56. 56 was the year
That's like striking out 400 times in today's MLB.
Yeah.
Everyone was probably mad. The press was probably killing him. Oh, he's great, but he strikes out too much.
Who, Mantle? Nah, nobody ever complained.
Yeah, because everybody loved the Mick.
Yeah, nah, nobody ever complained about him.
He was an everyman.
Nobody cried about him striking out.
He would just go out after every game and get bombed with all the fans.
Yeah, well, him and Whitey Ford would do that. That's why they were so beloved in New York because of that. You know, nowadays, can you imagine they also
won
did
quite
that
a
now?
bit.
Yeah, well, that
depends if you win.
Yeah,
nobody would care. Nobody would care if you won. Well, nowadays it's different because you got, like bullshit tabloids and TMZ has to be up everyone's ass all the time and knowing everything. Like
Amanda Stevenson has a question. Go ahead, Amanda. What's the question?
Fire your question in the chat. We'll get to them.
Yeah, we'll hit you.
It's a little bit of a relaxed show tonight. We're talking baseball. We're going to talk football. We're going to talk about hockey. And we're going to talk baseball. It's a relaxed show tonight. No flamethrowers tonight, unless Brad says something stupid, which he might.
Not tonight.
I never put it past you.
Yeah, but there's no controversies tonight. So we're all
Garcia Parra. Garcia Parra hit the ground running. I think it was 99, 97 when he was
fantastic. He was fantastic out of the gate.
He was so good.
Yep. And then he got injured to a point.
I think the highest he might have ever hit was like 340.
Yeah, and he was great. He was a great hitter.
Hitting 400 is ridiculous. No one's ever going to do it.
I mean,
no one's ever going to hit.
Tony Oliva was a great hitter. I don't think he ever came that close. I just shooting off kind of some great hitters I can remember back in the day.
J Love 47. I can't even think about Philly sports after these 3 finals losses by the Union Phillies and Eagles. I need to just be done with Philly sports because we're clearly cursed. I mean, okay, first of all, it sucks the Eagles didn't win. And I was still reeling after the loss to even do a coherent show last week. The show went on, we did one, but, I mean, what are you going to do, Jay? I mean, sometimes you lose. I thought the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl. I really did. I don't have sour...
I thought the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl. You don't see me making those kind of bets.
But I don't have sour grapes.
I bet on the Eagles. I showed you the tickets.
I don't have sour grapes over the Super Bowl. I don't think the Eagles got cheated out of the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles didn't get the breaks they needed in the football game to win a championship. They got 0 sacks. You know the point that the aspect of the football game, Brad, that I think people are missing, or maybe they're not missing, but it's not talked about. Right before halftime, Brad, the Eagles dominated the first half. And I thought
they were up 24-14 at halftime.
But it should have been worse because Jalen had that fumble.
Yeah. Well,
where he just kind of dropped the ball. Some people say, okay, but he shouldn't have dropped the ball like that. And the ball goes squirting towards the Chiefs end zone and gets picked up for a touchdown. Then it's halftime. It was 24-7. Eagles have the ball. I think there was like 3 minutes to go in the second half. Eagles have the football, driving. Jalen fumbles. Then it's 24-14. Then you have halftime and you have the Rihanna concert, and it's 35, 40 minutes before they play again. Chiefs get the ball. They go right down and score. And now all of a sudden it's 24-21. So you went from it was 24-7, Eagles with the football, Eagles dominating time of possession. I think it was 20 minutes to 8 minutes in the first half. And now 2 bounces of the football, it's 24-21. And then that stupid punt return happened. Why Miles Sanders is a gunner on the punt team in the Super Bowl out of the clear blue sky, I'll never know. Because Kadarius Toney cuts it back across the field. The gunner is supposed to be in position to make the tackle, and Miles Sanders is running around the football field like a chicken with his head cut off, and no one's there to make a tackle. Kadarius Toney takes it down to the 6-yard line, and the Eagles defense, at least on that particular possession, didn't even get a chance to make a big play. Because if Patrick Mahomes gets the ball on the 6-yard line, 5-yard line, whatever it was, he's going to get a touchdown. It's Patrick Mahomes. And then the Eagles got no sacks. The field was atrocious. I'll give you that. But the Chiefs and the Eagles played on the same field.
It was atrocious
on the same
for both
field.
teams. It was atrocious for both teams. I mean, it's just look. You can look at all the things that happened, but it was the same. Well, everything was the same for both teams. They lost. I mean, it's not. They got no breaks that game. And sometimes it just happens, It's not a disgrace to lose to Patrick Mahomes,
And now the Eagles are going to have some decisions to make.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot. They're going to have a lot of decisions to make now. Because I think, what do they have, like 21 free agents or something like that?
Yeah.
And now they're insisting on paying Hurts this year, which I kind of understand because I guess they
look. Howie knows how to manage the cap.
Yeah, no, I know, but I just because they're going to pay him this year, they're going to have to let a lot of guys go. But the way he drafts, he'll probably be okay.
You just need to get ahead of it before Herbert and Burrow get their money. But, I mean, J-Love, let me go back to J-Love. J-Love, I mean, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a Carson Wentz. I think Jalen Hurts is here to stay. Jalen Hurts outplayed the best quarterback in the world on the biggest stage. Jalen Hurts had a better game than Patrick Mahomes on Super Bowl Sunday. He had a turnover, which Patrick Mahomes didn't, and ultimately it didn't work out for Jalen. But Jalen proved he belonged that field with the elite of the NFL. And he's going to be here for a while.
Absolutely.
Be what, 4 or 5 years? It's going to be $50 million guarantee, which
by the way, getting back to the 400 hitters. Okay. Do you know that the Phillies have the most?
That's what the market
hitters? The Phillies have the most 400 hitters in
really?
Baseball. Yes, they
Philadelphia
do.
Phillies, the most.
They are the only
hitters.
franchise to have 4 players reach that milestone. Billy Hamilton.
I mean, they got to be old heads, right?
They are.
Wait, Billy
Eddie
Hamilton?
Delahanty.
Not the Billy
Hamilton from the Reds. No, not that guy.
Okay.
Ed Delahanty, Billy Hamilton, Sam Thompson, and Tuck Turner all had batting averages over 400 in the 1894 season. Okay.
They were all on the same team?
Yes.
What? That's crazy.
I'm reading this. I'm reading the article. So, yeah, I mean, but again, back then those pitchers were not quite as good as the ones that are there now. I mean, how hard were those guys throwing? And there was but it was a dead ball. That's what makes it probably even more impressive when you think about it. Dead, a dead ball.
That's a crazy stat.
Yeah, 42 players have hit 400. Okay, 21 were right-handed, 19 were left-handed, and 2 were switch hitters. And the Phillies had 4. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Trying to see if there's anybody else. Joe Jackson did it. They don't have any Yankees in here, but I know Shoeless Joe Jackson did it I think before he got banned. Yeah, before he got banned from baseball.
He got banned in 1919, I should say.
Yeah. He got canned for whatever.
Did you see the movie? You saw the movie 8 Men Out, right?
No.
You've never seen 8 Men Out?
I've seen the movie. I've seen the Shoeless Joe movie where they said he never cashed the check.
He was portrayed in the movie, at least in 8 Men Out, like just a big dope who just played baseball. Who just said, yeah, okay, I'm in, and then went out and hit like 400 in the series and didn't cash any of the checks and then got kicked out anyway.
Yep. Because he was in it.
Because that owner was cheap and he wouldn't pay Eddie Seacott his bonus.
Yeah, Seacott was the ringleader. Eddie Walsh as well.
Ryan Swoop. If hitters would be more about 50 doubles consistently and 15 to 20 home runs, we'd have hitters hitting on 350 often. Often? I don't know. What's often? 300 is like the new 400. If you hit 300 in a season these days, it's like
that's pretty. Which tells you how good Aaron Judge's season was last year.
What did he hit? 320 ish.
311 and hit 62 home runs. That's remarkable.
J Love 47. The Braves favorites to win it all. Let me see that. I think the Braves are favored to win it all.
Yeah, I've seen almost everything I've heard. I've seen in as far as power rankings, they always seem to be on top. I don't really quite get it, but okay, if that's
I think even with the Phillies short Bryce Harper for potentially almost half the season, I think the Phillies are going to win the East.
That's asking a lot. Problem with the Phillies have the same disease the Yankees have. Okay, they rely a lot on home runs, and sometimes guys go into home run slumps, and when that happens, they struggle to score runs. That's just par for the course. But they're going to have teams like the Yankees and Phillies who explode and will hit like maybe 20 home runs in 10 games and start blowing everybody out. I mean, that's part of it. But I wouldn't bet on the Braves to win it all. Absolutely.
So the
not.
betting favorite on DraftKings is Houston.
Yeah, right? I think Houston's going to be a little short. Losing Verlander is going to really hurt them because he's a guy you can't replace him. I don't care who your pitchers are, you can't replace a guy. They
have some pretty live young arms down there in Houston.
Yeah, they have Javier they have Javier and they have what's his name, the lefty, the big lefty. Now I can't remember.
Jordan Alvarez. They also brought in Jose Abreu in the offseason.
Yeah, Jose's getting old though.
He can still hit. He's going to DH.
Yeah, no, I know, and if he listened with those Crawford boxes in left field, he might hit a lot of home runs again. But he had a pretty down year last year. I think the White Sox just don't think he can hit anymore. I think that's why they moved on from him. So we'll see if they're right or wrong.
Yankees and Mets tied for second, according to DraftKings. Dodgers are third. Braves are fourth. Padres fifth. Blue Jays, who I like a lot. They're gonna have a good team. And
I
then
think
the
they're a
Phillies,
little. I think they're a little short with pitching. The Blue Jays.
Phillies come in at 17-1. It's a great bet. It's a great
to
bet.
win the World Series or to get to the
win,
World Series.
To win the World Series.
And
Probably about half that to get there.
I to be honest with you, I think this year the team to worry about this year might be the Padres, just because they had all that offense last year, and now they're going to have Tatis if he doesn't act like an idiot again.
It's true.
You have to remember last year they didn't have him at all last year.
But the Phillies pummeled the Padres in the NLCS, and the Phillies got a lot better.
They did, but the Phillies got hot.
Phillies did get hot.
They got hot at the right time, and you know what? Sometimes that's what's required. So if you get hot at the right time, you never know. That's what's great about. See, that's what makes baseball such a great game. Is that if you get into the tournament, if you get hot, you can win. If your pitchers get, Bryce Harper last year just was on fire in the playoffs last year. Rhys Hoskins was on fire.
Rhys Hoskins was on fire last year in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You had guys.
I think Castellanos, as far as the Phillies go, I think Castellanos steps up. I think he has a better season. I think he helps you fill the void left by Bryce a little bit. You can't replace Bryce Harper. He's top 5 player.
No, but they can still look. They can still score runs. But it's like the Yankees without Aaron Judge, Rob. They'll still score runs, but that you have that one guy in the lineup that scares the hell out of you, and then you start pitching carefully to the guys who hit in front of them, and all of a sudden when you have guys on base, and he's up or the guys behind him are up, you can't bring in a lefty to pitch to a righty to pitch to Aaron Judge, and then he the righty has to face Rizzo next, or you bring in a lefty to pitch to Rizzo, and then Stanton's up next. So that's. But when you're missing your top hitter, it's hard. It really is. But I'm thinking as far as making the playoffs go, the Phillies are at 500 when he gets back. They'll jog into the playoffs. They'll absolutely jog.
I think they're going to be over 500. I think the Phillies, with these bullpen acquisitions and Taijuan Walker being added, and everybody's raving about Andrew Painter, how he's the greatest things to slice bread. I know he's just a prospect, and we'll see what happens, but he seems to have all the tools.
You never know. He could be a spectacular pitcher. We'll see what happens.
And then once you get to the playoffs, you're not going to do any of those stupid bullpen games again. They have enough starting pitchers to not have to do that. I think the Phillies, they're going to be over 500. I think they're going to win the East. I really do. Don 19, are you all going to some games this year? Yes, I bought a Sunday season ticket plan for the Phillies. So I'll be all the Sunday home games. Section 110, I think. I'm in.
Nice. Yeah, I used to go to all the Friday night games for 15 years. No, 19 years. 19 years. Until my friend Bob passed away.
Don 19, favorite food and drink to get at a ball game? Hot dog and a beer, obviously. Can't go wrong there.
Pretty much. Except you may have to pay like $25 to get both of them in a Yankee game. I don't know about a Philly.
Yeah, right. I mean, Philly's not New York, but it's still expensive. But
Well,
I feel
our
like it's
games have
mad.
always
It's
been
expensive.
are like that. All our tickets have been like that, and they've been like that for a zillion years.
Uh,
I mean, I sat in section
uh,
129, row 24, for from 2000, from when the new stadium opened until 2020, until just the year before the COVID season, and they were nice seats, but boy, they went from $80 to 110. You know, they went up $30 in however many seasons it was. I can't remember now. 2000, actually, it's 2009 to 2019. In 10 years, the tickets went up only $30, which is not terrible, but still, that's a lot.
Marcus Smith, Eric Bieniemy in the division is going to be interesting. The Washington team ain't too bad, and they got some cap after they got rid of that bum Carson. So yeah, Eric Bieniemy once again does not get a head coaching job. Gets passed over for Shane Steichen, white guy, Jonathan Gannon, white guy, Frank Reich, white guy, Eric Bieniemy, black guy, gets passed over yet again. He's interviewed 17 times for a head coaching position. He hasn't gotten any of them. He's leaving the Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid circle of trust. And he's going to go be the offensive coordinator in our neck of the woods with the Washington Commanders. And
That's interesting because you know what? You would think he'd just stick around and just wait till Andy quits.
well, he wants to. Well, I don't think Andy's going anywhere. Is the problem?
Yeah, that might be it.
Maybe Andy was thinking about it and said, "Hey, maybe hang around. I might not do this." But now he's got the best quarterback maybe ever in his prime, and he's not giving that up.
No, he shouldn't either.
And Eric Bieniemy clearly isn't getting hired as, the third wheel to the duo of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So
But you know what? He may end up. You never know. He may end up getting it.
If he does good there in Washington, can we give this man a head coaching job, please? Well, he has to get one.
Yeah.
Like, how does Jonathan Gannon get a freaking head coaching job over Eric Bieniemy? Offensive league, Jonathan Gannon's scheme suspect at best. Jonathan Gannon goes out there and gets torched in front of everybody in the Super Bowl, and in an offensive league, the Arizona Cardinals say, "No, John, we love you. We want you to be like." How in God's green earth does that work?
Well, Rob, they took Cliff Kingsbury, and what possibly?
I get that, but you have Kyler Murray, who's a tremendous talent. Kyler Murray, he's a great athlete. He's super fast and athletic. He's got a really strong arm. He's hurt right now. Not sure when he's going to play again. But you're going to hire a defensive coach to
it doesn't make sense.
Try and get the best out of Kyler Murray? That makes no sense.
No, none.
Maybe nobody wanted to coach their team. Maybe Eric Bieniemy.
I just don't get. I don't get what the issue is. Maybe he just interviews bad. I don't know. I mean, I would hope it isn't because it isn't a racial thing. I would hope that's not the case because that guy should have got a job.
Doesn't it have to be though at this point with how many times he's interviewed? Maybe not like do I think teams are going out there like, no, Eric Bieniemy's black. I'm not hiring a black head coach. That's not what we're about. I don't think that's happening at all.
No, I don't think so either.
But I think
he's not. He obviously doesn't interview well. I mean, that has.
But I think subconsciously. But I think maybe teams are just. I don't think anybody knows what he actually does because they have Andy Reid there and with the best quarterback.
And Andy Reid is a tremendous offensive mind anyway.
So what's the offensive coordinator really doing there. But Ron Rivera is a defensive coach. And Washington does not have a set-in-stone starter, let alone the best quarterback of all time. So if the Commanders have a good offense next year, he's got to get a job.
Right? You would think so. You would think so.
If they have a good offense with a bad record, he might be the coach of the Commanders.
Could be. I mean,
I would have that contract.
I was hoping somebody.
If I would have that in my contract said, if you fire Ron Rivera due to poor performance and I'm on staff, I want to be promoted immediately.
Yeah, I don't
know if you can do that. Brian Swoop, Gannon said Howie offered him more to stay as DC than Arizona offered him as the head coach. Stupid of Howie to want him to stay. I mean, we'll see who they hire and we'll see what he's going to do differently. I like that guy they brought in. What was his name? The guy from Seattle, who was that defensive coordinator of the Bears. John DeLacy, I think his name is.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really good hire. I don't know. I know Vic Fangio got brought in as a advisor, special assistant, whatever he was. That doesn't really do it for me. DeLacy would. I think that would be a great hire. Don 19, he's betting on Toronto to win it all. I'm assuming he's saying the Blue Jays. I like the bet, Don. I do. I
don't like the pitching staff, and I'll tell you what, that the way they blew it against Seattle, blowing an 8-0 lead. That's pretty bad. Of course, being a Yankee fan, I can't stand Toronto, and I can't stand Manoah either. Manoah's going to have somebody run to the mound and kick his ass one of these days, because he's just got too big of a mouth.
He's definitely
throw at people. He almost had Aaron Judge coming out. After him, and if he had Aaron Judge coming out with him, I would think that he should be running as fast as he can away from Aaron Judge. So you don't want to get him. You do not want to end up getting him mad. I don't care how big Manoah is.
They have a top-heavy lineup.
Toronto?
They're starting – Springer's always hurt. Bichette, Vlad, Alejandro Kirk. They trade for Dalton Varsho. They have Matt Chapman. Looks like Brandon Belt's going to be there.
Matt Chapman is not a great hitter. You know that.
No, he's a Gold Glove third baseman.
He's a Gold Glove third baseman that hits about 210. And
is he going to hit 210 with the shift?
He's going to hit a lot. He's going to hit some home runs, and he's going to hit 210 and strike out 150.
Is he going to hit 210 when they can't shift on him?
Matt Chapman.
Or is he going to hit better?
Not when he strikes out 150 times.
Projected 179 strikeouts.
Oh, okay. 170. Well, I was close.
Projection from RotoChamp. So who knows what's going to actually happen.
Right. Well,
Belt and Merrifield are old.
I do know what I'm talking about. I guess.
They brought in Bassett from the Mets, who's a good pitcher. I like Chris Bassett.
He's okay. He's a number 3 on a good team.
He's slated to be their 4th. They have Berrios, Gausman, and Manoah. Higher.
Berrios was horrible. Berrios was horrible last year.
And then Kikuchi is their 5th.
He's not good either.
I think they're a playoff team, but maybe Romero's a pretty good card.
Kikuchi was so bad that he was out of the rotation last year. They put him in the bullpen in the middle of July.
I definitely see what you're saying about their pitching. I like Cleveland and Seattle better than Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto can hit. I'm not saying they can't, but their pitching is not very good. And other than Manoah, honestly, I'm not impressed by any of them. Gosman is like, what, 38 years old now?
He's older. But Brad, do your Yankees have enough offense?
Oh yeah, they got plenty of offense. Remember last year they didn't have LeMahieu, which really kind of killed them in the playoffs. Or Benintendi. Now they didn't replace Benintendi, but they've got a kid. They've got a kid who's going to play left field who's pretty good. So I'm not all that.
Well, Bader's a great fielder.
Who?
Bader
can hit too. He can hit in Yankee Stadium, that's for sure. He's got some power to right field.
It's a shame he doesn't get on base more because he's super fast and super athletic.
He might benefit from playing in Yankee Stadium though. You know, playing with that lineup. That lineup is a
Where's
better
LeMahieu?
lineup.
Where's LeMahieu going to play?
Third.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also when other guys need a rest, he's going to play first. He's going to play second, and he's going to play a lot of games at third, unless Donaldson can actually hit the ball. He's not going to play, except he's going to have to earn his playing time this year because, unfortunately, last year LeMahieu hurt his toe and he was out for the playoffs, and that really killed him.
Who's the outfielder you're talking about? Florial?
No, it's not Florial. What the heck was his name?
Cabrera?
Cabrera, yeah. He did a nice job. Came up. He showed some power. Look, he couldn't hit against Houston to save his life. But I didn't see anybody else in the Yankees hitting against them last year either. So I'll let him slide with that. But he hit the ball real well last year. I kind of liked him. We'll see what happens in left field. I'm more concerned about third base. I want to see LeMahieu out there and not see Donaldson out there. So we'll see what happens there. They've got a top prospect playing shortstop. So that should work out okay. I mean, I think the guy that they have playing shortstop did hit 300 last year in limited plate appearances. So they've got some. I think it's Peraza. So he's probably going to play short. But they still have Glaber. They still have Anthony Rizzo. They have Judge, Stanton. I mean, they got enough guys who can hit the ball.
Is that bullpen going to be as good as it was last year?
Why wouldn't it be? Now that we don't have Chapman in it, maybe it will be better. I mean, Chapman was the one that
Clay Holmes closing.
Well, it was a combination last year. Between Clay Holmes and Wandy Peralta, they both closed. Boone used to bring them in depending on who the on who on who was up. He used to do that. Whoever if he was facing lefties, he would bring in Peralta. If there were righties up, he'd bring in Holmes. That's how they did it. And they still have Loizaga, who's pretty darn good. They don't have Chad Green anymore, but Chad Green was getting hammered. He's been getting hammered the last 2 years, and now he's coming back from Tommy John. So I don't know how effective he's going to be, but he's not on the team anymore. I think he signed with Toronto, which good luck to him.
And I think the strength of the Yankees is obviously their
starting pitching is outstanding. Yeah. Even with the Montas going out, not being able to pitch this year, you still look at their starting pitching and you.
I mean, Herman is your fifth.
Yeah, Herman is good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Herman has won 18. It was an 18-game winner a couple of years ago. And then he got suspended for smacking his girlfriend around, which he deserved. And then he had an arm injury. He had a shoulder impingement. I think that's what it was. So he was out for a while. But when he came back last year, he pitched well, and he's He's a good pitcher. I don't worry about him on the mound. I have complete confidence in him. I have complete confidence in all their starting pitching right now. Cole at the top, then Rodon, Nestor Cortez, Severino, and Herman. That's a real good starting pitching staff.
I'm looking for a sleeper team in the AL. Because I think the Yankees are going to win the East. I really like the Guardians in the Central. And
I'm thinking the White Sox are going to come back this year. I'm kind of being very stubborn about the White Sox.
We sit here every freaking season with the White Sox. This is the year, and it's never the year.
I know. What about the Rangers?
That's interesting because right now I'm just looking at it quickly. I've been looking at it like here and there. Haven't really dug into official predictions. Yankees in the East, Seattle in the West, the Guardians in the Central, Houston's a wild card, Toronto's a wild card, Tampa
will make the playoffs. They've got real good pitching. Tampa, I don't know where they find pitchers, but it seems like they can just reach into their farm system and pull up a pitcher anytime they want. And they always seem to score enough runs to get into the playoffs and do what they have to do. So I wouldn't count them out at all. Texas might be your if
DeGrom pitches, I like it. But
if you look at
DeGrom's
all the
money, DeGrom's already said Bruce Bochy said his side hurt, and they have Bruce Bochy now, which that guy's great.
Yeah, I know
he'll get the most out of that team all day long.
The problem with Texas is they're going to need Seager and what's his name, Semien, to have big years.
Nate Lowe had a good year last year, but is he going to do that again?
I don't know.
Aldis Garcia, he strikes out.
He's too inconsistent.
I like that kid they got, Jung at third.
He's not bad. They've got some pitching now. So
Kansas City. What about the Royals? The Royals
still no pitching.
No, I know. It's a deep sleeper.
Yeah.
But I like this.
I would like to see them. I would like to see them get good again.
I love this Vinny Pasquantino. Like, he's great.
Yeah, but
he never strikes out, and he walks all the time.
Well, he's a good player, but they just don't have the pitching right now.
I hear it.
That's the problem. I like to see them do better. I mean, they used to have
Salvador
a great
Perez
rivalry with the Yankees. It's just
they have Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. is a monster.
Yeah, no, I know, but they
don't have anything. But I like their pitch. When I say I like their pitching, I think the quest to 500 baseball is.
I don't know if you're going to see that from them this year. I don't know.
Lyles comes over from Baltimore, but I like Singer.
He was actually pretty good last year, Lyles.
He was. I mean, his stats weren't great because he started off real bad, but
yeah, but he got better as
the Orioles. The Orioles started winning games at the end of last season, and
yeah, they did. They did. They played a lot better last year.
The Royals stink.
The Orioles are not going to.
Well, the Orioles are, and the only reason I like the Royals as like a maybe surprise team is because the Central is wide open every year.
Yeah, but I think the Guardians are going to start owning that division.
And then Baltimore, I mean, you have to play Toronto, Tampa Bay, and New York.
Yeah, that's not
a
easy.
bunch of times, 60 times out of 162. Like that's tough. That's really
Yeah,
tough.
yeah,
And
and Boston when Boston's good. Although this year I don't know how good they're going to be. I
if
think
I'm
they're going to
the,
have a tough
I'm
season.
signing Trevor. I would take a chance on Trevor Bauer if I was the Orioles.
Yeah, you would think that they would. I'm not really. I mean, I understand a lot of teams morally are afraid they alienate their fan base by bringing him in. But I mean, if you, it's really a good gamble as far as money's concerned.
I
You
mean,
know,
how
and if
many
he,
teams? How many teams went? How many people went to Orioles games last year?
I don't know. Their attendance wasn't great.
Not great, right?
No.
So why not? You got all these. You got all these young puppies.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly
Adley
on that.
Rushman's a beast. Gunnar Henderson looks very promising. Santander's
He's a good player.
established, good player.
Yep.
Mountcastle, I think, is a good player.
Mountcastle is a very good player. Hey, did anybody ever sign Trey Mancini, by the way, speaking of that? Or is he
Yeah,
still out
who did
there?
he go to? Let me look it up. I think Seattle, maybe.
Oh, really?
No, he's on the Giants, I think.
Oh, okay.
Cubs. Sorry, third time's
okay.
a charm. Cubs signed him.
Well, he might do well in that stadium. That'd be a good stadium for him. Because he's got some power and he can still hit.
Ryan Swoop Castellanos be much better. He has always been bad the first year on teams. He needs to learn to lay off breaking balls. He's a pure hitter. I hope so. They need him. They really need Castellanos to step up.
Nick Castellanos has always been a good hitter. I don't get what happened with him. What happened with him last year? Why the wheels came off with him? That was very strange because he's always been a good hitter. You know, I mean, I know playing in Cincinnati probably didn't hurt his numbers because that's a super good hitter's ballpark, but still, you know, he's always been a good hitter. He was a good hitter in Detroit. Always was.
Greg Blagovic, he's in the house. Sorry, he's late. He agrees to the poll, so he likes offense. I don't see how there's not going to be more offense, which is going to be fun. And yeah, Don, the Yankees have no weaknesses. I would say the Yankees' biggest weakness is
Third base.
Is Clay Holmes going to repeat his closer? Repeat his success
But he may not be the closer. It's probably
whatever he's going to do. He's going to have to pitch.
Yeah. No, well, he was good last year. I would think he was good the year before that too with them. I mean, I think he's a pretty good relief pitcher. I think that they got a pretty solid bullpen. They don't have a real established closer right now. That's the difference. I mean, we're used to seeing Rivera, and then right after that we had Chapman. We don't have that guy in our bullpen right now. But we have a bunch of decent relievers who I think can get the job done.
Then you have the dugout with Aaron Boone.
Well, that's a problem. I don't like him at all. I think he makes really boneheaded decisions all the time. That's a problem. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening.
All right, where you want to go next? Hockey, basketball?
Yeah, there's a few things we should go over in hockey before we switch back to the NBA.
Floor is yours.
Well, hockey, we've had some pretty interesting trades. Yesterday, the Rangers picked up Tyler Mott for the fourth line to kill penalties because they're 15th in the league in penalty killing, and they gave up another power play goal tonight. So that's not good. They're losing 3-1 because Winnipeg's goalie right now is standing on his head. They also picked up Tarasenko. The big question now is there's two guys left. You know, two big time players that are left that are available, Patrick Kane and Timo Meier, and we'll have to see what happens with those guys. Patrick Kane got a little butthurt about the fact that the Rangers didn't take him, and then the Leafs went and got Ryan O'Reilly instead of instead of him. So he's all pissed off now because the two teams he wanted to go to don't seem to want him. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Who would you say the favorites are? Obviously, we talked about it a little bit last week.
For as far as Patrick Kane goes, it's hard to say.
I heard Dallas.
Dallas. I think Dallas is probably the favorite because I think they need him the most because they're now struggling to win games because they're just not scoring enough goals. Who else? Toronto doesn't seem to want him. The Rangers don't seem to want him, and those were the two teams he agreed to go to. So we'll just have to see. The Islanders and the Devils seem to be logical choices. I think especially the Islanders now, especially with the I don't know if you heard about this one, but Matthew Barzal yesterday,
out indefinitely,
is now out. They're thinking he may be out till the end of the season.
What did he do, or they did not say?
He has he hurt his knee. I mean, they're saying it's a lower body injury, but I saw the play, and he.
There's only two types of injuries in hockey: upper body injuries and lower body injuries.
Right, but I saw the play. The guy on the Bruins who hit him went right after it was a knee to knee collision, and then his skate got caught under the boards, and he messed up his knee. So I don't know how long he's going to be out, but that's a devastating injury for the Islanders. I don't know how you can come back from losing him. That would be the equivalent. That's the equivalent of the Oilers losing either Draisaitl or McDavid. I mean, that's a terrible, terrible injury for them. So I would think if the Islanders have any desire to try to get into the playoffs this year and do something in the playoffs, that they got to go out and get them. So I would make the Islanders or the Devils the favorite. I know the Devils have room under the salary cap to get them. They can fit almost anybody in, and they're a dangerous team right now.
Who do you think the favorite is in the Western Conference?
The Western Conference stinks. You know what? The Avalanche look like they're getting their acts together finally. You know, they finally got everybody back, and everybody's healthy, and everybody's starting to play well again. They're in third place now. They finally are back in the playoff race. I think they're starting to round into form. I'd have to make them the favorites in the West. I don't think too many people are on them yet, but I think when they continue to keep winning games, even without McCarr, they're still a tremendous team.
Carolina for Patrick Kane, Ryan Swoop wants to know.
Carolina could get him. I don't know if he wants to play there.
He holds the keys, right?
Yeah,
he can
he's
say when he wants to go or not.
Well, see, the thing is, he wanted to go to the Rangers, okay, but then he wouldn't waive his no trade. He was playing games with the no trade. So he does that, and then the Rangers say, okay, well then we're going to get that Tarasenko waives his no trade, and 3 hours later he's a Ranger.
Right.
Which tells me that the Blues probably went to him and said, listen, we have a deal with the Rangers. Do you want to go play for them? And obviously, he's thinking, oh, well, you know what? My best friend in the league that's not on the team is Artemi Panarin. Why not? 3 hours later, he's a Ranger. So that made sense. And I think Kane wanted to be a Ranger as well. But you know what? The Rangers have cap problems, and Chicago probably wants too much for him. I don't know what the deal is with Carolina. I don't know who they could offer. I think they still have a pretty good farm system, but we'll see. We'll see about that. The team I worry about getting Kane would be the Devils. If the Devils got Kane, that would be a real problem because the Devils are an extremely good team. They are very, very impressive. Unfortunately,
Jack seems like your Rangers and the Devils are on a collision course for the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, it really does. So that's why I think I don't think the Rangers are done, to be honest with you. They still, they had 2 first-round picks this year, so they traded one of them. They still have a first-round pick in play if there's somebody that they want to try to get. But if they want to get somebody good, they're going to have to get a third team involved because they only have $1.6 million left on the that's available on the salary cap. That's all that they have left. So unless they trade Kravtsov, which they probably will, that would give them $2.4 million. So they would actually have $2.4 million if they trade him. But that's about as much as of money as they could take on right now, unless they got a third team involved. If they get a third team involved to pick up half of somebody's salary or 25% of somebody's salary, like let's say they get Kane, okay? Chicago would have to pick up 50% of the $10 million cap hit he is, okay? And let's say they got, just say out of the Flyers took $2.5 million out of the $5 million.
Right.
Okay. So that means that there'd be $2.5 million available, and the Rangers made a trade and put Kravtsov in there. Okay. Theoretically, and they would have to then let go one of their fourth line guys, which I'm sure they would have no problem getting rid of Lazishin. You know, a guy like that. That's how they would have to do it. But they would have to get a team that would be willing to, take a draft pick, like a third or a fourth round pick, to take the money. And that's the only way they could do it. So that's going to be tough for them to do that. I mean, I've heard the name I've heard with the Rangers is Jonathan Huberdeau, which they get him. I would love to see them get him, but I don't know. We'll see.
Who do you think the wild card teams in the East are going to be? Because it looks like it's going to be Boston, Toronto, Tampa, and the Atlantic. The Metro is going to be Carolina, New Jersey, and the Rangers.
Yeah, I think you're going to see. I think the two wild card teams are going to be the Penguins and the Red Wings.
The Red Wings.
Yeah.
What do you like about the Red Wings?
Well, for one, they're on fire right now, and they're playing some great hockey.
They are on fire.
They've been playing well for a while now. So why not?
They are 7-3 in their last 10.
I think they've won 5 in a row, haven't they?
Don't have that one. They lost. It says here they lost 1 in a row. So I guess they lost.
Okay, so their 5-game winning streak is over. So, but that's. I would go with them. I think they're really, and Dylan Larkin is playing great right now, and they've got a lot of good young players on that team. I think that they can sneak in. You know, kind of like Buffalo. You know, Tage Thompson's been really good. They finally have themselves a guy who's just as good as Eichel and not making nearly as much money as him. So, you know, that definitely they definitely have a shot. But if you're asking me about Washington, I don't like Washington. I just think that they have finally gotten too old. Yeah, I know
Ovechkin's not even Ovechkin. His dad died, so he's not even with the team right now.
Right, but they haven't been playing. They haven't been. They're not even. They're behind. They're behind in the playoff chase right now. They're not in the playoffs right now, and they played 3 more games than all the other competing teams. So that's a real problem for them. I think the Penguins will find a way to get in, and I think that they're a threat to make a big deal at the trade deadline too. So, you know, I would bet on them. But if you're asking me about all the other teams, Florida, they can score, but they can't stop anybody. You know, and I don't see them making it. I think they're too inconsistent. I just think Detroit seems to be the ones they're going to end up getting that last playoff spot.
Detroit is the next up-and-coming dynasty with Stevie Y as the GM. Thoughts on that comment?
No, I don't think so. No, I would say right now it's the Devils. Yeah, the Devils just have been the Devil. Jack Hughes has turned out to be just a superstar. I mean, he's just unbelievable. You watch him play, and his speed is just off the charts. You know, and then it's not just that he kind of reminds me of McDavid with that speed. I mean, he's really that quick.
Last thing, NHL, move on to some NBA. Flyers. Are they going to make any moves before the deadline?
Nice win finally today, but boy, they beat
Calgary today. I believe that get home.
Yeah, would they win in a shootout or in overtime? Did they win in overtime or did they win? I didn't see the game.
They were up 3-1. I had it on for a little bit, and they were up 3-1, I think. And then I saw they won 4-3.
Okay, so that's a big win for
Connect
them.
the guys.
The Flyers. I think I think they're going to be making some moves. I think you're going to see Van Riemsdyk get traded, and he could end up being a Ranger. I could see that. You know,
You think the Flyers would trade with the Rangers?
Well, they did last year. They made a deal last year. Why
winner
not?
For the Philadelphia Flyers?
Huh?
That's a flat out regulation win for the Flyers.
Nice. But I mean I could see Van Riemsdyk coming in.
Scored. D'Angelo scored. Like, what are the Flyers going to get anything really of value for Van Riemsdyk? Are they?
They could get a second round pick in this year's draft. That's
who's not going to play.
Provorov.
Something. Possibly. It is a deep draft.
Yeah, Provorov could go. Provorov would definitely get you a first round pick. D'Angelo might be traded too. I mean, there's always the possibility he could go as well. I mean, there's a lot. I would think a team like the Flyers right now, they should be looking at any player that's older that's either like 29, 30 years old or older. They should be looking to trade and trying to get as many bites at the apple as they could as far as picking out of this draft and bringing in some young talent. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. That's pretty much. I think that's pretty much a. I
feel like there's back end hope that they could get hot amongst Flyers. I think they're just not good.
Too many teams.
I watch some of these other teams play on the national games. You can't dump all those teams. It's
the East. The Metropolitan. Really hard. The Metropolitan is just is a killer conference as is the Atlantic. I mean, the East is just loaded with good teams. There's no way that they could pass all these teams. It's too many. They're too low in the standings. That's the problem. When you got this many teams, and you get a point for going into overtime when you lose, it's hard to gain on teams because a lot of, especially as the season winds down, you start seeing a lot more games going into overtime because teams will be more than happy to take the 1 point and then worry about the second point later and try to get the second point in overtime and make sure, especially when they're on the road, to make sure they at least get a point.
I think it's stupid that you get a point.
I've been saying that for a long time, but you know what?
I don't understand why you need points. Like, either win or you lose, and it's either you like.
Well, they've never. It used to be that they had ties, so that's why.
Why is Columbus so bad, Brad?
They lost a lot of play. They unfortunately they lost Zach Werenski, and their goaltending has just been terrible this year. And losing Zach Werenski was a killer because he was their best defenseman.
They had Line A, don't they have Line A and
they have Line A? Yeah, but Line A's been hurt. Gaudreau's been good, but I mean the rest of it. I feel
like it's always something with that guy. Is it not always something with that guy, Patrick Line?
Yes, it is. He's always got some kind of an issue, and you take a look. You take a look at the guy they traded for him was Dubois, and Dubois has 25 goals, including one tonight for Winnipeg. So, and the problem is they just haven't been. They got off to a terrible start, and they just never got it going. And their defense is horrible. Their goaltending is horrible. And when you're giving up 3.5 to 4 goals a game in today's NHL, you're going to lose.
All right, let's move on. Sixers, because the Sixers, they're getting back at it on Thursday. And
Why
Brad,
are they
have
waiting so long after the All-Star break to start playing again?
They got to rest. They got to rest,
God.
Brad. I don't know. I don't know when. I don't know. But
Yeah.
well, the Sixers play Thursday. I think
The
other
Knicks
teams
don't
in
play
the
till
league.
Friday, which is
Really?
ridiculous. Yeah,
I think
why?
teams might play on Wednesday.
Yeah, I just think that they wait too long. You know,
But
it drove me nuts with the Knicks because the Knicks have been playing so well the last couple of weeks, and now they haven't played, and they're not going to play for 9 days before they play again.
You're going to find out a lot about the Sixers basketball team out of the break here. Thursday, they're home against Thursday at home against Memphis. Then you're home against Boston. Then you have a home and home with the Heat. Then you play the Mavericks on the road. Then you got Milwaukee on the road.
Wow. Okay.
Obviously,
they're going to be playing all the top teams. They're going to be playing all the top teams in the league.
Like, obviously, Giannis probably won't. Maybe he'll be back for March 4th. I don't know. Doesn't sound like
2 weeks. 2 weeks with a sprained wrist. I would think he's out for 4 weeks. I mean, I don't know any. I have no clue what happened to him, but
it sounds like they're. Well, I mean, what's the point?
If I were them,
right? I mean, Milwaukee, they're going to be in the top 6. They're not going to. I don't care if Giannis is out.
Right.
They're not going to be in that silly play-in tournament, no matter what.
No,
they're still going to win their game. It's still Middleton and Drew Holiday and
and there's
a bunch of other good role players. So why would you?
There's no point in putting him in there, and then having him re-injure it and miss the playoffs. You just wanted them to be them to be healthy in the playoffs. That's really all that matters. Even if they have a road game, they'll figure out a way to win on the road. And, if they're not good enough to beat they may not be good enough to beat the Celtics, whether they have home court or not. I mean, they had home court last year and they lost.
I don't think anybody in the league can beat the Boston Celtics. They are so good. They play basketball the right way. They have 2 outstanding perimeter players. They have a bunch of pesky role players. The Celtics are everything I want the Sixers to be.
They play great defense too.
The Heat are okay. They got Kevin Love on the buyout market. You have a home and home with them. Like, that's not; those aren't gimmies. And then Dallas,
but they're better than the Heat.
So what's that? They are, but they'll find a way to split it. So Dallas might. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Dallas could be tough.
6 games in a row right here against really top-notch opponents. Then you got the Pacers, the Wolves, the Blazers, the Wizards. They all kind of stink. Cleveland, who they just completely trounced. I think they're a good team. They're going to be out for revenge in Cleveland. Home and home with the Bulls, they stink. Then the Warriors come in. Or no, sorry, we go out there.
And that won't be easy.
No, because then towards the back end of the schedule here, you got at the Warriors, at Phoenix, which I would imagine Durant would be back by March 25th.
Yeah, he'll be back by then.
And then at Denver.
That's not going to be easy.
Then you're home against Dallas.
Wow. Jeez.
This is a tough stretch. Like, this is like, if you want to show me something, if you want to show me you're different than years past, why don't you go out? How many games are left? What, like 20 games left, I think there is. Like, go 15-5. If you want to prove to me that this team's different than years past, go 15-5. Sweep the Heat, beat teams like Indiana, Minnesota, Portland, Washington. Go beat Cleveland again, and then do what you can out on that brutal West Coast trip. It's not a trip. It's 3 games, but it's Golden State, Phoenix, Denver. And then back home against Dallas. Like, maybe you split those up. Like, beat teams like the Bulls, the Hornets. Like, go 15-5 in these 20 games. Is it even 20 games? How many games are there?
That
1,
would be
2,
that would be very
4,
impressive.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, they have more after that. I thought the season was over. But there's 5 games. There's what, 20, 1, 2, 3. Then after that, Brad, after they split up, after that Dallas game on the 29th of March, then they got Milwaukee again, Boston again, Miami again, Atlanta and Brooklyn. And then I think that's the end of the regular season.
They have that's a tough schedule. Man.
It is a tough schedule. Go 15-5 in your next 20. Show me you're different. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Sports Hounds. Thank you very much, everyone who listened, followed, and shared our show. He's Brad. I'm Rob. We'll see everyone next Monday.